Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of June 14, 2021. In terms of the stock market direction, and by that I primarily mean Nasdaq and Dow Jones, I think Monday is going to be a down day, followed by an up move on Tuesday and Wednesday, then down again on Thursday, and a correction to up on Friday. On Monday, I think there might be some concerns about market volatility, particularly currencies and cryptocurrencies, as well as rates, and news regarding areas such as oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, and chemicals, etc. So all of the different Neptunian domains, particularly either sales of those related assets or perhaps transportation of related products, maybe transportation of oil. And I think those kind of concerns may bring the market down. Generally, starting approximately this week, so mid-June through about mid-July, and in particular, very end of June, so last week of June and first week of July, we're going to be experiencing a very precise, strong effect of the ongoing background and transit, which is Saturn square Uranus, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. And I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. However, generally speaking, basically, we may start experiencing a little more market volatility, and therefore, just basically, it's good to start keeping an eye on that this week and into the next few weeks as well. And let's see, for the US, specifically Monday is a day where we may hear increased news about like leaders, important people, or like celebrities or some prominent, CEOs, etc. And there may also be increased news about sort of role of the U.S. on the global arena in terms of, its the country itself being a leader. And again, it means that this may particularly manifest and would be again related to currency, rates, maybe value of U.S. currency, news about bank stability or earnings. So those might be the news that may be in focus on Monday for the US. For China, on Monday, there too may be increased news about things like earnings, but also expenses or losses due to things related to oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, etc. And there may also be increased news similarly to the US about value of currency, bank stability, and basically financials in general. On Tuesday, as I said, I think the market may go up, and there may also be in the news increased focus on things like gold and silver, as well as US financial policies and USD value yet again. And those things may be related. There may indeed maybe a bounce back or reversal in the direction on Tuesday compared to Monday, and I think Tuesday will be an up day. And I think there may be some news again about the financial policies out of the US, and I think for gold and silver there might be a slight short-lived drop just on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I think market has even greater probability of going up, and there may be some improved or optimistic mood in the areas related to things like oil, gas, pharmaceuticals, and chemicals. So some issues that may have come up on Monday may be looking a lot better by Wednesday, or perhaps maybe if there's a negotiation or deal pending by Wednesday. On Monday, for example, there are difficulties on Monday or difficulties with transporting something on Monday. By Wednesday, things will look a lot better. The negotiations may be going better. There'll be like a light at the end of the tunnel, or things can, literally can start moving along like the shipping route, or there will be just increased news about perhaps, things like all of the other Neptunian domains. Basically, this could be, again, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, but also movies, beverages, etc. And there may be, like I said, hopefully some news that will look positive. Maybe some issue or like a deal may not be quite reached just yet, but there will be optimism about the deal being reached or the sale going through or some improvement being sort of on the horizon. And that positive sort of optimistic thinking may bring market up on Wednesday. On Thursday, yet again, there will be focus on things like oil. Again, Neptunian domains, oil, gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, navy, water pollution, drugs, deceptive activities, movies, beverages, etc. Thursday is going to be, I think, a down day because at that point, news again will turn to things that are a little bit more worrisome or anxiety-provoking, and that could be due to some missing information, misinformation, miscommunication, or some agreement basically either being suspended or just the details of it not being clear, some timing being quite unclear, or transportation project that perhaps again things were looking good on Wednesday, things looked hopeful, and again nothing was finalized but just kind of anticipation was there, but by Thursday things again may look kind of unclear, and again this anxiety or uncertainty may bring market down. And some of the concerns on Thursday may be, again, miscommunication, some information is not being relayed, some details are not being clear, or if there's, say, a drug trial and the news are about to come out, maybe the effectiveness of the drug is not going to be as, good as predicted, or some movie theater chain or movie producing company, their popularity may go down, or there may be some confusion or concerns about some chemicals properties that perhaps maybe some new, solution is developed, and on Wednesday there was this big expectation of it being really, useful, and then by Thursday there may be some concerns that maybe things are not as good as they seemed on Wednesday, and this could be simply because information is just not available. Maybe there's just not enough information in the report to make claim one way or the other, or maybe that the news actually are more negative than expected on Wednesday. And the value rather of the related assets, again, oil, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, some drugs, like I said, maybe the trials didn't go as well. Their value may go down, again, not necessarily dramatically, and that value will then again reverse back to up by Friday the 18th, and even more so by the 21st. It's just that on Thursday there are going to be this day of concerns or some anxiety about these areas. And as I said, Friday looks now again more positive compared to Thursday. Things again are going to look a little bit better, and or at least for those particular assets, like I said, oil, gas, etc. And even more so by Monday, the 21st. I think oil prices and also like maybe businesses or products that are related to Neptunian domains, so derivatives of, oil, gas, any sort of chemical-based products or things that need water or use water or water-based, like, beverages or some movies, etc., or visual equipment, because Neptune also relates to things like photography, for example. All of those areas may go up. And in terms of the stock market direction, however, I think Monday the 21st is going to be a down day. Now, let's go back now to the what I mentioned before, that this week through about mid-July, we will have an intensification of the transit, or the transit between Saturn and Uranus is actually exact this week on the 14th of June, and it's going to continue being pretty tight for this basically next 4 weeks. But late June through early July, it will also be joined by Mars. By joined, I mean Mars will oppose Saturn and it will square Uranus. So basically, there will be this T-square between Uranus, Saturn, and Mars. And such aspects typically coincide with things like accidents, disasters, anything that explodes, fire starts, things that unfold rapidly, like sudden onset of bad weather, sudden breakage of something that's like a big structure, like a dam bursting, for example, or avalanche or rock slide and things of that nature. Or if there's like a gas leak or oil leak, it usually then is followed by an explosion and fire, or if there are improperly stored chemicals, again, the fire may start. So sometimes under some other difficult transits, there may be, say, a leak, like an oil spill into the water, and there's water pollution under, specifically Uranus, Saturn square, and especially accompanied by Mars and some tense aspect, typically any sort of leak or any, again, problems with maybe chemicals not mixed properly, things blow up literally. Again, this probably has to do in part with Mars, because Mars is, of course, rules things like areas and, of course, fire, things that heat up, athletes, sports, fast movement, etc. And with Uranus and Saturn, in difficult aspect, things usually, again, occur suddenly, and there is some structural damage. Again, for example, there may be a really major flood, but the flood, again, not just because there's a lot of precipitation, but specifically because maybe there's a structure like a dam that breaks. Or when in February of this year, we had another sort of time when Saturn and Uranus were more precise. We had this Uttarakhand dam collapsing, where again there was like an avalanche of ice and rock, or glacial burst, whatever the scientists exactly are saying, but astrologically speaking, it's a similar event where you have a lot of things that are like heavy, rock, metals, ice, things that are cold, big, heavy, that they suddenly collapse from great heights. Saturn rules things that are cold, heavy, metals, rocks, and of course it rules Capricorn, which symbolizes, the top of the mountain. So basically, what I'm saying is that this whole month, things may get a little bit more difficult in the sense that there is a greater probability of just various accidents and disasters, but in terms of the stock market, those kind of transits typically also would coincide with things like sudden, volatility in the stock market for sure, but also like a flash crash may occur, and there may be, I think the areas that may be affected the most could be definitely currencies, because we have Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which rules finance, banks, currencies, including cryptocurrencies, anything's digital, because again, Uranus brings this digital internet kind of element to it, and also anything that has to do with communication, transportation. So obviously the media, social media, also any sort of sales, communication, transportation. So areas related, I guess, to like Gemini, Mercury. And lastly, areas that are related to Neptune, so oil, gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, of course also movie theaters, beverages, water pollution. And let's see, and as we already have seen, of course I made this prediction back many months ago, even as I was in my yearly annual astrology predictions for this year, and I've been repeating this almost every week basically, but we already saw on Monday the 14th of June that there were some was an explosion in the I believe it was in Illinois of a chemical plant. Let's see what it's called, Rockport, I think it's called. Right, so let's see, a Rockton chemical plant in Illinois, and again, that's a plant that's producing some sort of oil-based lubricants, grease and things of that nature. And of course, as I mentioned, that I think value of similar products or products related to like oil chemicals may go up by Friday, and especially next Monday, the 21st. So it's possible that this may be related in the sense that this could be one, of course, this explosion is one of the manifestations of this Saturn-Uranus precise square that's happening on the 14th of June, but unfortunately with Mars joining in soon, it will actually, I think things get worse before they can get better for the next few weeks. But basically, yes, there might be indeed either disruptions of supplies or just for whatever other reasons, the value of indeed chemicals, oil, etc. may go up by this Friday and or next Monday especially. Another thing that occurred on the 14th, in Russia, in Novosibirsk, in Siberian city, there was also some major, like a gas station fire that triggered an explosion of, I guess there was some truck that had gas or something stored right there. So things exploded, like over a dozen people injured. At the same time, we also had in Texas some news that the power grid operator there, ERCOT, had issued an energy conservation alert due to some I guess, concerns about some either power outages or just, I guess, I'm not sure if things are, the weather is too hot and basically people are using too much energy. But again, Saturn and Uranus square may also lead to major power outages, again, due to some structural problems. And of course, back in February of this year, when Saturn and Uranus were in the precise square again, there was this really bad cold weather bout in Texas. And again, they had power outages and problems with power. And obviously, areas that were kind of susceptible to this Saturn-Uranus transit the first time around, chances are they will also be the same areas that may get hit again, mid-June to mid-July by similar issues, kind of round two, but a different sort of spin on that. And then lastly, today there's some news about nuclear reactor plant in China, the Taishan plant, also experiencing some, I guess, buildup of some gases, and supposedly everything is fine and under control at the moment. However, they're monitoring it for potential, I guess, just make sure everything is fine. And I did take a quick look, and of course, to me, again, astrologically speaking, I don't really know much about how power plants, specifically work in terms of like whether people are doing the good job monitoring things or not. That I'm going to leave to experts. However, astrologically, it's just kind of a concern where things come up at the time of these difficult transits, just getting kind of into more difficult situation at the end of June, early July, and so that is not good time for various like things like that to come up. And I also took a quick look at the chart of when this plant, the Taishan plant, went into, I guess, operation. And the first day, I guess, operation began on December 13th, 2018. And we did have interesting transit there at the time, which was the Uranus squared the nodes at that time. And the degrees that were involved were the 27th degree of Capricorn, 28th degree of Aries, and Pluto will be transiting through those degrees next spring, so sometime next early March through early April, especially around March 3rd next year and April 4th next year, which happen to also be generally globally times where there may be major floods and some kind of disasters and accidents just independently of this particular plant's chart, or chart of its, I guess, first day of operation being triggered. So basically, I'm not sure what exactly may or may not happen. At the very minimum, it's definitely not the very best time to be, kind of doing things carelessly or traveling to dangerous places. And I would definitely stay away from anything that's kind of hot and fast, or like avoid things like, skydiving or doing something crazy like that if you don't have to absolutely do that. And for this particular plant, this Taishan plant, I think if anything, next spring, March, April is when I would be even more kind of careful, as far as at the very minimum, there may be just things that maybe things need to be, taken a look at or repaired or, upgraded or whatever. So at the very minimum, that's what Pluto brings is, rebirth. Whether or not there's some sort of a problem that needs to be addressed, there's a good probability of that, but I don't want to be predicting horrible things obviously here. So let's see. Then in terms of the glance ahead, just at the next few weeks beyond the Saturn and Uranus transit, and of course Mars also joining that, being kind of in effect for the next, say, 4 weeks. After that, actually, at the end of July, things will look a little bit better, in the sense that at the end of July, like 27th through the 30th, there may actually be large stock market moves, especially 28th and 29th of July, but they will be up, I think. And regardless of the direction, there may be increased stock market volatility, where stock market investors will be going overboard because of some excitement, really kind of, either overselling, overbuying, but I think market might go up at that time. And there may also be some increased news about things like immigration, various laws, international relations, long-distance transportation, import-export, and people who may be featured in the news at the end of July a lot will be judges, lawyers. There may be increased news about all kinds of lawsuits, and at the same time, there may be some difficulties for travelers or for companies that are dealing with long-distance shipment and transportation, and travel, I guess, as well. And that's because there may be some extreme conditions, like maybe excessive winds or dry spells, volcanic eruption, polluting air with some ashes, etc. So there may be some travel, basically, impairments at the time. Again, there may be some high-profile lawsuit in the news at that time, or some celebrity or prominent person like a royalty, actor, politician may be in the news because there's some lawsuit against them, or because they're experiencing difficulties while traveling internationally, or both at the same time. Then into August and December, there will be increased news out of the US about some fiscal policies, or banks, finance, currency value, and things like that. And I think there will also be increased news about gold and silver at the same time, which I think they will continue, these two metals go up through about mid-December. And I think sometime May, August, especially around August 9th, may be like an intermediate sort of top as well. But I think they will continue to go up overall for the year through about 15th of December. Let's see, and then sometime in the late August and then into September 3rd, and especially September 1st through the 3rd, yet again, there may be increased focus on oil, beverages, gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, etc. And at that time, there may be a drop in the value of those either companies, assets, and especially on the 3rd of September, there may be generally a large market drop. And in terms of, I guess it didn't maybe completely finish my thought on the Saturn and Uranus. This is the second out of the 3 transits for, I guess, this sequence of the square, squares, precise squares. And actually, we will experience still the effect of this ongoing transit still throughout, say, November of next year. And this year, this late June through early to mid-July is going to see maybe the maximum effect, in my opinion, but there will still be a final pass. And let's see, that will be that will be around it will be felt second half of December of this year, and then finally, I guess, the more precise final square will be felt mid-September through late October of 2022. So again, anything that has already occurred this year around February and will occur again right now, June, July, it will again may sort of somewhat reappear in the end of December, and then especially next year, end of September through the end of October. But I think with this presence of Mars, it will actually be, unfortunately, worse this particular summer. And I think, again, there might be some flash crashes, etc. And so things may not necessarily be quite as bad this week, but I will definitely start keeping an eye. And anything that maybe starts to kind of having issues this week will definitely not be over by next week. And I think things may actually escalate through early July and then kind of start taper off in the second week of July. So hopefully you have enjoyed this weekend forecast and it was useful, and you're going to stay safe. And until then, have a terrific week, and I'll catch you guys later.